Stuttgart, Germany, came back home. Nobody ever expected me to do. Nobody knew who I was. Even when I won in 2007, nobody knew who I was. So, which is okay. But I told people pretty candidly, I'm the least political mayor you're ever going to have. Take advantage of it while you got it. And that's what I meant. Because I'm just trying to do what I think is a lot of common sense. I did have a little bicycling background, not too much. I rode the little 500 in IU. Y'all say breaking away, right? Actually could have been in that film, but they filmed that in the fall of '78, which is when I went to officer candidate school for the Marines. So I actually had to decide whether to keep messing around or actually go do something with my life. And, at that time, I did join the Marines at that time. So, and I do like biking. I wouldn't consider myself avid completely throughout my life. That would not be a true statement. But certainly at this point I am, because it's mainly about stress relief. When I'm going up a hill in Eagle Creek Park, and my thighs are just burning, I'm not worrying about the budget. So, it's just the way it is. But what I'm doing seems like a lot of common sense to me. And I'm very candid about it. Douglas, that was a great presentation, by the way, and I asked to get a copy of that if I can. I'm the mayor of the city. What is my job? As far as this discipline is concerned, it's about talent attraction. It's about attracting business. And I have to create the kind of city that attracts talent, because we're all in competition for the young talent that's out there and the young families. And putting in bike lanes and trails is part of that attraction of talent. And if we don't do that, we're going to get run over by lots of other people. And everything that I try to do is about attracting talent into the city. And if anybody who thinks that the young people, do you call them millennials? Is that the term these days? I'm really kind of an old-fashioned kind of guy. But the people in their teens and their 20s and their 30s are looking for bike lanes. They're looking for trails. They're looking at that connectivity. They're looking for the multimodal transportation, and that's really what I've been trying to do. Now, how do we get it done? You got to understand, Indianapolis knows how to get things done. When I became the mayor, they said we had 1 mile of bike lanes in the city, which is kind of funny. What does that connect to? But the background about funding was we created a wastewater transfer, or essentially a sale of those assets into an organization called Citizens Energy, which is a public charitable trust, very well respected in the city of Indianapolis. I got rid of $1.5 billion of debt and created $400 to $500 million of cash, which I said was going to go to infrastructure, roads, bridges, sidewalks, alleys, and taking down abandoned homes. And that's really what we've done with it. But I also told my team, we have to leave something behind. I just can't. I mean, the scale of what we've done is generational. We usually fix 1 to 2 bridges a year. We fixed 27 in the last 2 years. I mean, that's the scale of what we've been doing. But we have to leave something behind too. I just can't leave better roads and sidewalks behind. You got to leave something people can see and can use. And of course, trails and bike lanes. Even though we had some trails out there, they didn't really connect up very well. And now we've got something really rather major going on. And we've gone from 1 mile so far. In 4 years, we were now at 75 miles of bike lanes. And by the end of 2015, just 8 years later, we will have, the plan right now is to have 200 miles of bike lanes and trails all connected up. Very short period of time, about 7 years. It was obvious last year when a lot of the connections were starting to be made at that point, where you can see people getting out a little bit more. In the city of Indianapolis, we know how to do big things. The Super Bowl that we ran last year is widely regarded as the best ever. We put on the Indianapolis 500 every year, which is the largest one-day sporting event and has been for decades in the entire world. So we can do big things, but there's some things you just have to do and put together the pieces. And to me, like I say, this is just common sense. I hear a lot of opposition out there, but I'm a Republican mayor. I always find it funny that you put the affiliation on your notes here. I always thought that was a little funny. But I got reelected Republican mayor of Democratic City, and I'm just doing it. Right? I'm just doing it. There's not a lot of opposition. There are some, but we generated the cash, and we had to do something to leave behind and create the kind of city. And I tell people very candidly, this is all about talent attraction. It's not because the mayor likes to ride bikes. I do like to ride bikes, but we've had great partnerships. Bicycle Indiana, a lot of the people here in Kansas are IndyCog, which is an advocacy group, SEBA, Central Indiana Bicycle Association. Connie, who's an advocate with a local company, BGI, Bicycle Garage Indy, does work with this car, and Haley, who now runs the executive director for the Cultural Trail. Used to be in our Office of Sustainability. We created the first ever Office of Sustainability in 2008 for the city. A lot of pieces have come together. Jameson, obviously, also with the city. And so many things that happened as a result of this. We're just putting this stuff down. We had this cultural trail going on. I think a lot of you have heard of the cultural trail. It's just about an 8 or 9 mile network, kind of like a spidering out of downtown, but it connects to a lot of other trails and takes you to a lot of cultural districts in the city of Indianapolis. The pavement is unbelievable. And when you're riding on it or even walking on it, it just feels different. And it's going to be there a long time. And it's beautiful. And it connects so much. It's kind of funny. There was an idea of a guy named Brian Payne about 12, 13 years ago. And about 3 years ago, Ray Hood dropped $20 million on us. We finished it. And we're going to cut the ribbon on that in May. But it's already being used tremendously. So we've got the cultural trail, which now connects all downtown, which is, we have a very connected downtown anyway, but now we connect out to the rest of the city as a result of it. A couple of years ago in our city market, which was being underutilized, I believe, we converted one end of it to what we call the bike hub, the YMCA bike hub. We got the YMCA in there. We have parking spaces for bikes. We have a small repair shop from BGI that's in there. You can ride your bike from anywhere, come to work downtown, take a shower, put your clothes on, and go to work. As most people know, I'm not a micromanager by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm here to tell you one thing I did micromanage with those lockers. You can't believe how many people, they kept giving me drawings of lockers. I said, I'm tired of this. Show me physically what the lockers are going to be. I mean, really, it was that, I'm the mayor of a big city, right? I'm telling you, show me those lockers. And I kept telling them, go into the Indianapolis Colts locker room. That's what I want. And that's what I got. Because I want people to put in 5 sets of, I want 5 or 6 suits in there, and your toiletries and your underwear, whatever, for an entire week, and then you can ride your bike down there, shower up, go walk to work across the street or a couple of blocks. And that's what we've done. We're also lucky that we are the home of actually the best cycling university in the nation. A place called Marion University just won another national championship. I think it was in cyclocross, if I'm not mistaken, or BMX, I'm not sure. But they're in an area out there near northwest side of town, and we had the velodrome out there that was left over from the Pan Am Games in 1987. Nice little area, completely underutilized. I'm not a big fan of saying the government knows how to do everything right. After 23 years in the Marine Corps and 8 years as the mayor, I don't know if I'm going to go on further, but I'm here to tell you, government doesn't get everything right. You have to partner with people to get things right. You have to put it, I always say you have to maximize the use of the public asset. And if government can't do it, you need to partner with somebody so we can maximize the use of that public asset. Now that complex around the velodrome is going to have cyclocross, BMX, criterium racing, and the velodrome racing. They're talking about park and rides, they're talking about community centers. It's quite the place now. We gave it to somebody who will take care of it. They're putting millions of dollars of capital improvements in there themselves, and it's going to be a much better place for the city of Indianapolis, other than just costing us $70,000. Saying, why do we have to cut the grass out there and stuff like that? This is what we were doing for years. Years we were doing that. We don't do that anymore. Now that place is dynamite, and it's getting even better. So you have to partner with the right people. It helps to have a cycling university like that that wins national championships every year. So it's really good. There are a lot of rides. There is a lot of outreach on this. Jameson has done a tremendous job on that. There are now 4 mayor's bike rides. We do have the Bike to Work Day. We do have the Tour de Cures, and we have all that. But I created 4 bike rides also. The main one being the mayor's bike ride, which is always the first Saturday in June, which I think helps out. Now we've got a spring fever kickoff, and I think that's next month, if the snow ever goes away. Of course, that doesn't really matter because we have the Polar Bear Pedal in the city of Indianapolis, which is now the first Saturday every January. We had over 1,000 people, or close to 1,000 people this year getting out there riding in the cold. It wasn't so bad this year, it was only 25 degrees. The year before, it was about probably below zero with the wind chill, and we had about 500 people out there. So there's a lot of pent-up demand in the city, and we just needed to provide the infrastructure. The other one is the mayor's birthday ride, which is a smaller ride, but my birthday's in November, and that wasn't such a smart move. The SEBA does a lot of rides, obviously. Central Indian Bicycle Association does a lot of rides every weekend, pretty much. So there's a lot of demand, but they had no infrastructure. You didn't know it was out there. You just didn't know it was out there. And that's what we did, is created this infrastructure for them to do that. We now have 3 crits in the summer. Fountain Square crit, what's called the Indy crit, and the Mass Ave crit, all are kind of downtown. In 14, we should have a USA Pro Cycling crit, I think, is coming in. Again, sometimes I get a little foolish, get a little ahead of myself here, and the Indy crit has talked me into having as part of one of those races for the Indy crit, was a race the mayor. I mean, there's a story there, but you know, I'm 58, all right, and it's not like I'm gonna. I want to race again, eventually. I don't want to get hurt and die, but I do want to race again, just a little bit, even if it's maybe just a little show. I was trying to do it last year, had a knee injury, couldn't quite get there, so we kind of devised this race the mayor thing that's going to come up, and so we're going to do a little training for that. But I think we're going to try to get the news media out there. Those calls are actually being made while we're here. Some TV anchors and some local reporters to ride with us, kind of like a celebrity race. Guys who are in shape, because a lot of people do ride bikes. And so we're going to get a lot of press in that way to, again, highlight cycling in the city of Indianapolis and how much is being done. I don't know if they're going to trick this thing up and let me win or not. That would be fine. One thing we don't have yet is bike share, but bike share is either coming this fall or next spring, is what it looks like. We have a very generous philanthropist, which is helping fund this certainly through the first 5 years. And I think that's going to be tremendous. I thought, like you said, Douglas, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. I got bikes all over the city of Indianapolis right now, but the bike share is something that we don't have quite yet, but we will have very, very shortly as part of that game changer that we're doing. So that's what we've done. We've done it in a very fast time frame compared to what I'm hearing from what people are talking about. We've essentially done this in a 4-year period, gone from wherever that mile of bike lane was to 75 bike lanes, starting to connect up with the trails, and on our way to 200 miles of bike lanes and trails by 2015. Essentially a 7 or 8 year period, which I think is dramatic from what I'm gathering. But to me, it was just common sense. It was about talent attraction. And I know I'm making an impact. It's funny how people come up to me and talk to me, because I do get a little pushback here and there. But I was talking to a group, I don't know, maybe last year or something. This is kind of my favorite bicycling comment. When people who do oppose this, some of the car mentality types, and I like cars, I like driving, but we put bike lanes on some busy roads, Allisonville Road and Lafayette Road on northeast and northwest sides of town. And some lady came up to me and says, listen, when I drive next to those bike lanes, I have to slow down. I said, exactly. Now you're getting it. Thank you.
So speaking of